Okay, good day, good morning, good day, everyone. Welcome to another discussion about the subjects science, technology, and society. So, welcome to I know for those who are um, part of my students. Okay, welcome, and also we have random visitors here in YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to our discussion today. So, this morning we are going to tackle about the technology as a way of revealing. Specifically, we are going to emphasize about the scientific method. All right. So, at the end of this discussion, okay, you are expected to comprehend the steps of the scientific method and recognize its importance as a logical process for inquiry and problem solving in various disciplines, even with the modifications based on experimental constraints. And also, you are expected to evaluate how scientific discoveries and technological innovations impact human life, ethics, and pursuits of knowledge, leading to better decision making for societal benefits. Okay, so those were our expected outcome of this discussions. For my students, I would require you to please comment your full name and your course, your section to confirm your attendance. Okay, again, for my students, please confirm your attendance by commenting your name, your course, and your section. Okay, and later on, I'll be giving a specific activity for you to be done so that um, your attendance will be confirmed. Okay, so just stay tuned with our discussion. All right, so where are the rest of the students? I think maybe they have some glitches or problem with regards to their internet connection. That's quite a challenge for us because we have slow internet here. So it's fine. You can still replay our discussion right after the live discussion. Okay? Again, you can still replay our discussion after this. Okay, so let's start. So, science is a voyage of exploration just to find out how things work. Okay, it is really interesting because it is an ongoing and endless process. Okay, whether we like it or not, okay, our venture towards understanding things will always continue for the rest of our life. Okay, people tend to look for the betterment of their lives each and every day. So kada adlaw no, we tend to find answers, okay, to the questions that somehow pop up in our mind. Okay, and the longer people explore science, the more people become curious that science itself cannot answer its own questions. Even me, as I studied this subject, science, I somehow realized that science actually, although this is a systematized body of knowledge, meaning every information being categorized as science is an organized explanation. However, okay, it is not an absolute explanation of a certain thing. Meaning, not everything that science explain is true. Okay, we have different theories. We have different stands coming from different scientists about a specific area. Okay, which allows us to understand things in multiple perspectives. Diba? We have uh, theory of evolution by Charles Darwin. Okay, we also have the Big Bang theory. Okay, so dust cloud theory. Actually, there are a lots of theory, okay, explanations that are explained that are explained in science. And some of those questions are the following: where did we come from? Are we alone in the universe? Can we ever make human life better with science? And then we also have, why does something exist rather than nothing? Why are we here? These were just some of the questions that are yet to be answered scientifically. Okay, so it is in this regard that human flourishing is deeply intertwined with goal setting relevant to science and technology, because um, it is undeniably our ultimate goal in our life to achieve the happiness that we want, the good life that we want. Mo na ato ang gusto. That's what we want while we are living, to live a good life and to achieve the happiness, okay, the ultimate happiness in our life. And that's why to achieve that thing, okay, it is somehow intertwined with goal setting relevant to science and technology, because based on our previous discussion as well, okay, we cannot deny the connection between our life and science and technology, most especially in this recent time that almost every aspect of our life is directly linked with the advent of science and technology. Okay, in this case, the end product is relevant as a tool, okay, in achieving the former technology, is a human activity that we excel as a result of achieving science. The goals of science and technology and human flourishing falls on the same grounds, which are good and truth. Okay, science and technology have changed the way we live, work, and think. The well-being of individuals, okay, nation, and the earth depends in part on the techno-scientific discoveries and inventions. Okay, so everywhere we look at, there is always technology. Okay, and perhaps we don't know that time might come that even when we are sleeping, okay, already um, we can already design a dream, okay, with the advent of technology. Perhaps we don't know how the advent of technology will go through the next generations. Perhaps maybe we like to customize our dreams. Ganahan ta og dream nga thrilling baron, or mura na it's like we're having a movie marathon while we are sleeping. We don't know. Okay? So that depends on the future. That depends on um, what particular inventions that might arise in the future. So given this, okay, given this information, okay, we can somehow think, how did these things come to exist? Okay, how did the different technologies that we have right now come to exist? Okay, so that would lead us to our discussion this morning. Okay, and we'll be talking about the technology as a way of revealing. Okay, now, think of a certain situation in your life, okay, that you have discovered something unexpectedly. Okay? Think a certain situation in your life that you have discovered something unexpectedly. Remember that during those time that you discovered such thing, it somehow change your attitude, your mood, your behavior towards a certain thing. Let's say, for example, you found out that you have a new cell phone. Okay, you are being surprised by your parents of the new model of an iPhone 16 Pro Max. So what could be the impact of that to your life? Perhaps it can make you grateful. Okay, it makes you happy. And later on to that, because of that thing, it can also lead to the alteration of your action. Okay, pag naana kay iPhone 16 Pro Max, perhaps kada adlaw na ka mag-picture-picture. And then when you pass by something that you like, siguro magpicture ka, or perhaps you be, you will become a vlogger. Okay, it can somehow change you, and that could identify, okay, who you are as a person. It would somehow reveal yourself, okay, kung kinsa gyud ka, kung unsa ka as a person, because we are somehow being molded by the advent of our technology. Okay, so there are in the venture towards understanding things, towards new things. Okay, so kay um, di man gyud ni mawala. Okay, um, it's like just think of our venture sa technology as a voyage, a voyager. Okay, think of it as a voyage. When you voyage, okay, you hop from an island to another island. So meaning to say, you don't know what to expect. Okay, you don't know what your life could be when you go to another island. Okay, the same thing with our voyage or our venture in technology. We actually don't know what the future brings. Okay, we actually don't know kung unsa pay mga future inventions. Okay, what things that we will use in the future, but we can, at least we can kanang muratag na makabana-bana ta. Okay, we can have a vision towards the future, but we don't really know what the actual future may bring. Okay, so to but at certain point we can design something that we can utilize in the future, and that's why we need to take into consideration, okay, the steps on understanding things, on revealing something, on creating something, or on discovering something. And that is what we called as the scientific method, or science as a method. Okay, so science is an organized way of studying things and finding answers to our questions. And when we say scientific method, on the other hand, it is an approach to seeking knowledge that involves forming and testing hypotheses. Again, I'll repeat, scientific method is an approach to seeking knowledge that involves forming and testing hypotheses. Okay? Oftentimes it is really in our it's like a part in our life to ask question. Okay? Do you experience that na it just somehow, okay, there's a question that popped up, okay, in your mind, okay, and we tend to find answer to these questions, okay, and for us to provide something, okay, that is firm, okay, and okay, kanang firm siya, and then kanang tinuod yun, we can verify that it is true. It is safer to apply the scientific method. Okay, so method as it is, okay, it has a set of procedures, a process. This is a step for us to follow in order to answer our problem. Okay, this methodology is used to answer questions in a wide variety of disciplines. Okay, in school, this method is already taught even in early grade school. Okay, elementary pa lang, gitudlo na ning scientific method because this is really important to us. Okay, so though a number of steps is different, it presents a general view of how to solve the problem. Okay, if you try to search in the internet, there's a lot of version, okay, in the scientific method. However, there is one goal to this, and that is to address a specific problem or answer a specific questions. Okay, so let's delve deeper to every steps, okay, every level of the scientific method. So let's start with the first one, okay, which is the phenomenon or the event itself. Okay, so at this stage in the scientific method, this is the time that we use our senses: the sight, smelling, taste, hear, hearing, and touch. Okay, of course, that depends on the specific variables that you are looking up to. Okay, and it's up to you on what safer senses nga imuhang gamiton. Lisod pod og you observe something poisonous, and then you will use the sense of taste. Okay, that is not kuan appropriate. Okay, so in phenomenon, okay, it pertains to the certain scenario or event that happens around us. Okay, in real life, you can look at the society, the situation of a society or your community or your life as a student. Okay, what particular thing, okay, that you find problematic, or is there something that you can do in order to improve your current state? Okay, so that's under under the phenomenon or the event. So after you observe, you do your observation, you can now identify the problem. Okay, so you just in this stage, you'll just this will cause you to create questions. Ngano man unsa may unsa kahay nakaangin aning problema. Okay, so that would somehow brings you the specific concern in the society. Okay, so that's the time you will identify the problem. After you have identified the problem, okay, here comes the hypothesis. When we say hypothesis, okay, the basic explanation for hypothesis is it is a system. It is an educated guess. Okay, when we say educated guess, it's not it is not just a mere hearsay, but of course, this is an assumption with anchored principle. Okay, so hypothesis is an educated guess. So hindi ka lang basta-bastang nagbibigay ng iyong assumption. But of course, you have a basis from that assumption. So the hypothesis, okay, is being divided into two. We have the so-called null and alternative hypothesis. So let's talk first about the null hypothesis. When we say null hypothesis, it pertains to a statement, okay, which gives no relationship. Okay, when we say null hypothesis, it is a statement of no relationship. Okay, so meaning to say walang connection yung iyong mga variables. Okay, there for example, you have the variables library visits and your academic performance. So in the null hypothesis, you would state it like this way: there is no significant relationship between the library visits and the academic performance. Meaning to say, you assume that these two variables have no connection. Okay, and that is the null hypothesis. So in contrary, or on the other hand, when we say alternative hypothesis, it it refers to a statement of, okay, relationship, okay, of connection between variables. Meaning to say, our ideal result for our study is for us to reject the null and accept the alternative hypothesis. That's our ideal result. Okay. However, always take note that in doing a research, we need to have such consideration that your result can be different from other result, because there are certain factors that uh, we need to consider, like the demographic background, the environment, pagkakaroon, the attitude of your respondents, things like that. Okay, however, there is at some point there is also considerations like the validity and the reliability of your study. Okay, so next, after we give our hypothesis, we can now do our experimentation. Okay, this is the time that we do the hands-on, okay, test about something, about the variables that we need to observe. Okay, so in experimentation, we need to use the empirical approach. So when we say empirical approach, um, this means actual experience, direct, purposeful experience. You yourself have witnessed, okay, what are the reactions, what are the changes, the modifications being applied in your study. Okay, so that is for the empirical approach. So we need also to utilize our five senses, our senses in doing the experiment. Okay, meaning to say, class, it is not it is not good for you to just look at somebody's experiment. Meaning to say, when you conduct an experiment, it must be you yourself that actually have the experience of that particular experiment. Dili pwede nga you will just look at a certain video nga the same as your topic mo na nga dili na lang ka mag-conduct of experiment because you will just refer to the experiment of another person. That's very wrong. You need to have your empirical approach in your experimentation. Okay, next. Okay, so in your experimentation, it must be valid and reliable. So your data must be valid and reliable. Now, what is validity and what is reliability? What is the difference between these two terms? Okay, so when we say validity, okay, it is referring to whether our measurement it refers to something that let's just say it this way. Validity is measuring what we intend to measure. Again, validity is measuring what we intend to measure. So nakuha natin yung measurement na gusto nating ma-measure. So how do we test the validity of our experimentation? Well, of course, we can test the validity of our experimentation based based on the existing principles, theories, or studies relevant to our specific study. Okay, so kung this is the time that we will check whether the result of our experimentation is the same with the existing principle. Okay, naman tayo, di ba natin mga related literature? Okay, so to prove the validity of your experiment, you can check on that. Okay? Whether same ba imuhang result sa uban. Okay? So, again, validity, measure what is it. We measure what we intend to measure. Okay, so when we say reliability, it pertains to the consistency of our measurement. Okay, whether when we repeat our experiment on the other day, okay, can it give the same result? Okay, that is reliability. How consistent is the result of our experimentation? Okay, basin og you conducted the experiment today, and then when you repeat the same experiment tomorrow, it will give you different result. Okay, that means there's a question, okay, with regards to the reliability of your experimentation. Okay. Again, reliability pertains to the consistency of your measurements. Okay. Next, after you conduct your experimentation, you can gather data and analyze data. That's the time that you can interpret the different data that results from your experimentation. Okay, to gather and analyze your data, you can create graphs, you can create tables, whatever visual representation that you can apply, you may apply for your readers to easily understand the data, the result of your experimentation. And then after you give tables and graphs, okay, you can also interpret that one, give a thorough and simplified explanation on the data being provided in your table or graphs. Well, of course, this is the period that you may apply statistical treatment, okay, of your data. Okay, next, after that, you can draw your conclusion. Okay, your conclusion pertains to the outcome of your study. Okay, what's the result of your study? Okay, would you accept your null or would you reject your null and accept the alternative hypothesis? Okay, that is what your conclusion will be. And it may include the recommendation, and then other things that you can say, okay, in connection with the conclusion of your study. So after you have given your conclusion, okay, it doesn't end in conclusion actually. Okay, we have the next step, which is the publish. We need to communicate the result of our study, okay, of our um, experiment. Okay, so in the publication, that's the time that you would share your study towards other people, other towards the society. Okay, you can connect with certain publications coming, verified publications, of course, coming from different institutions, registered institutions around the country, and even international institutions, publications. Okay, for you to, of course, aside from gain from your study, but of course help the society from your study. All right. So that's it, no? That's it. Um, the scientific method, okay, is a logical process of experimentation that is used, okay, to observe and answer question. Okay, but does it mean that all scientists follow the exact process, the exact level of the scientific method? Well, of course, we need to follow this one to make sure that the result of our experiment, our study is valid and reliable. However, it doesn't mean that we need to just do a certain part of it one once. Okay? So dili pwede nga kanang okay, sa experimentation kaisa ra pud na nimo buhaton, and then you will proceed right away to the gathering and analyzing data. Well, of course, it depends on what your study needs. So when you don't have a clearer view about your experiment, you can repeat that. You can dwell more, okay, on that area, on that part of the scientific method. Okay, some area of science can be more easily tested than others. Okay, for example, scientists studying stars change as they age cannot fast forward a star's life by a million years. Okay, if direct experimentation is not possible, the scientist can modify the scientific method. As what I have said, it depends on the case. It is case to case basis. In fact, there are probably as many versions of scientific method as long as the goal remains. Okay, unsa to ato ang goal to answer and provide relevant, okay, answer to the problem, solution to the problem. Okay, even though we show scientific method as a series of steps, always keep in mind that a new information or thinking might cause a scientific uh, method to be altered, and it can cause the scientist to back up and repeat certain steps at any point during the process. A process like the scientific method that involves backing up and repeating is called alternative process. So we can have alternative way, as long as we are still aligned with the goal of our experimentation, which is to solve the problem. Actually, we can customize the process. Okay, so in conducting a study, in conducting a research, okay, by following scientific method is the best way for us to have a reliable result. Okay, and in following this, in conducting study, it requires, of course, patience and hard work, because it's not guaranteed that your experimentation, your study is successful with just one trial. Okay, well, actually, um, it takes a lot of trials for you to have the success of your study. Okay, and it's applicable almost in every aspect of our life, mampod, no? Diba? We need to do, okay, many trials for us to attain success. The same thing with our experimentation. It requires patience and it requires hard work. Okay, according to Albert Einstein, okay, a genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. Again, a genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. Okay, so I hope that you understand something from our discussion today. And for my students, I want you to do this activity. Okay, I have provided here a reflection question for you to answer. So the question is, why is it important to follow the steps of the scientific method when solving problem? Again, why is it important to follow the steps of the scientific method when solving a problem? So you can write your answer in 1/4 sheet of paper, which must be submitted to me personally during our face-to-face classes next week. All right. So I think we're all done with our conversation for today. Okay. Again, for my students, please comment your full name and your section, okay, for you to confirm your attendance. Thank you so much for joining our live today. God bless and see you around. Goodbye.